Hey guys, what's going on? Ken Rayder here for Rayder Sports. So, our topic today is the new AP Top 25 that has come out. And with Ohio State losing, there's been a lot of movement. A lot of movement at the top as Ohio State fell to 11, but we'll go through it starting at 25 here, which is Appalachian State. Appalachian State has only one loss. That came in the opening game to Penn State in overtime, and they've rattled off seven wins in a row now. So they finally get ranked at number 25, which is really cool. I think this is like the first time they've ever been ranked. I don't even think they were ranked when they beat Michigan that one year. So I think this is really cool for them. At number 24, you have Stanford, who snuck back in to the rankings. They seem to be in and out. Utah got in. Number 22 is North Carolina State, who is absolutely pummeled by Clemson. 21 is South Florida, the only undefeated team, only other undefeated team in the American since Cincinnati lost to Temple this weekend. 20 comes in at Wisconsin, who got a big game against Northwestern, who actually, this is a bigger game than most people would think because Northwestern only has one loss in the conference and could technically, if they pretty much run the table, beating Wisconsin and Iowa, and then they have winnable games, I think, against Minnesota and Illinois, and then a game against Notre Dame, in which it doesn't count towards the Big Ten. They could possibly win the Big Ten West. So that's a huge game coming up this week, Wisconsin-Northwestern. That could lead to huge implications in the Big Ten West. Number 19 comes in at Oregon. 18 and 17 is a big matchup because they're both going to be playing each other this week. It's 18 Iowa at number 17 Penn State. Again, if Iowa would lose, Iowa has one loss in the Big Ten. That would open up pretty much the Wisconsin-Northwestern winner to really take a stranglehold on this conference and really control their own destinies. And Iowa also plays Northwestern. So Northwestern, the Wildcats have a really big, they'll have a really big play in how the Big Ten is won, surprisingly. And I mean, this is a 3-loss team who lost to, Akron. So it's amazing where Northwestern sits right now. If you would have told me Northwestern could have a chance to be going to a far outside chance, but still have a chance to be going to the Rose Bowl as the Big Ten champion, I would have told you were crazy. And that's coming from a Northwestern fan. So 18 Iowa, 17 Penn State, they meet up this week. 16 is A&M. 15 and 14 are your Apple Cup boys from Washington. 15 being Washington, 14 being Washington State. 13 is West Virginia. 12 is Kentucky. 11 is Ohio State, who was absolutely pummeled, beaten down, destroyed by Purdue. I mean, this got so out of hand. Purdue put up, 49? It was, 49 to 20, something like that? So, Ohio State dropped from 2 to 11. And UCF, for the third week in a row, will be ranked 10th. And this is causing a huge controversy. This has been in the news. I will touch on that after I finish the list. 9 is Florida, who was on a bye week, who jumped Central Florida. So Big Brother pretty much jumping Little Brother if you want to look at that. 8 is Oklahoma, who jumped UCF last week. And obviously gained a spot from Ohio State dropping. 7 is Georgia. 6 is Texas, who, as I said last week, is Texas back? I don't think so. That's my personal opinion on it. I think they'll drop somewhere. They have Oklahoma State this week. I don't think they'll be completely... I don't think they get out of that one unscathed. I really don't. Number 5 is Michigan, who I think is probably the most overrated team. Right now, I think they still have to beat Ohio State. I don't think they're that good. You know, they spotted Northwestern 17 points and had to come back and win there. They lost to Notre Dame. They don't always seem to be clicking on offense. I think they're very beatable. And I don't think this 5 spot is going to last until the end of the season. And then 4 is LSU, who, as we all know, they got Alabama coming up in a couple weeks. Or maybe next week, I'm not quite sure. But 4 is LSU, 3 is Notre Dame, 2 is Clemson, and 1, of course, is Alabama. Now, the thing about that is it doesn't surprise me. Like 1 through 4, it doesn't surprise me. I mean, I'm even fine with, 5, 6, and so on. I mean, even though I think Georgia, Texas and Michigan are, higher up than they should be, because I don't really think both teams are that good. I just think right now they're just overranked. But what really has made the news in this has been between UCF getting jumped now by Oklahoma last week and Florida this week. And it didn't sit well with UCF either. And I'm going to read this. Danny White, who is the athletic director at UCF, he released a statement on Twitter Sunday after Kirk Herbstreit pretty much said, who cares about their 20-game win streak? Because they're like, why are we all talking about UCF? Well, last time I checked, when you win 20 fucking games in a row, it matters. I mean, isn't that about sports? It's about playing the schedule you're given, winning, losing, and that's the bottom line. Well, and there's also other things that you can throw in there, other little crap like the fact that I'd love to see a third-party team do the scheduling, and not the institutions. But that's something different. But his statement read, "Dear Game Day crew, I heard that on Sunday you debated UCF's now 20-game win streak and said this shouldn't be all about UCF when talking about playoff eligibility. He said, I couldn't agree more. College football is the only sport in America that is not settled on the field. We need to fix that. I heard our winning streak was met with a comment of, quote, who cares, end quote. What? Sports should be all about wins and losses and not just a brand on a jersey. I agree wholeheartedly. College football has become a subjective popularity contest, which I said in my previous video about 2 weeks ago when I talked about not the last AP poll, but the one before that. That came out. He says, college football has become a subjective popularity contest. I call it traditional bias. The Knights represent all the teams who, for reasons of history, geography, and politics, are left out of the club. These factors will not define our bright future. Our student athletes don't want anything given to them. They just want a chance, probably, to go out and earn it. But it ends at they just want a chance. No one likes having their accomplishments disrespected. UCF fans are knowledgeable and passionate, and I applaud them for using social media to have their voices heard. The American Athletic Conference partners with ESPN. As such, we hope to work with you as partners to fix a broken model. Will you join us? And that's a lot right there, and I understand that, but and they do. They really do. They really should. You win 20 games, there should be no question that you're looked upon as a possible college football playoff team. There's no reason. I mean, raise your hand if you're 20-0. Only one can do that in the last 2 seasons. So it's now It's now a consistent winning history that they created over at UCF. And nobody else can claim that they have 20 straight wins. Nobody can claim that they were the only undefeated team last year. But as what UCF doesn't put in there is the fact that, yes, you do have to play your schedule, and their schedule has been pretty mediocre. I mean, it's number 125 in out of conference strength of schedule, and so I understand that. And I really do think number 10 is kind of their ceiling. Even though the playoff committee says, oh, there's a path. But I think with Cincinnati losing, they lost the chance to go up against a undefeated Cincinnati, then an undefeated and ranked South Florida team in the last 2 weeks of the season. And that's going to hurt their strength of schedule if those two teams aren't undefeated. And so I really don't see how Central Florida gets in unless a lot of madness goes wrong on the top, and there's like two, and everybody has like two or all but three teams have like 2 or 3 losses, and they're still hanging there undefeated. And you know, Houston has to get ranked, Cincinnati has to get back ranked, and South Florida probably has to run the table and meet them in the last game of the season. Then Houston has to continue to run the table, get ranked, and play them in the American Championship. So, I mean, I don't know what to really make of, you know, his comments. I just know Kirk Herbstreit has really, you know, disrespected the 20-plus game win streak that they're on, that UCF is on. Like, say, oh, who cares the fact that you've won 20 games in a row? But in those 20 games, they've beaten Pitt, they've beaten Auburn, they've beaten Memphis, they've beaten South Florida. But, you know, they beat FAU, who is supposed to be good. But, you know, none of it matters. To Kirk Herbstreit, anyway. And yes, there should be other teams. You can think of Utah State, Fresno State, who's right now 7-1. You can think of Western Michigan, who's 7-1. A lot of these teams should be brought up, but unfortunately, it's a traditional bias. It's a popularity contest, and I will keep ramming this down their throats until it's made correctly. I don't know exactly how to fix it. I know what I would like to see it get fixed with, but I don't have the power to do it. But I will say this, if UCF does run the table and there are teams who have 1, 2, 3 losses, who have 2 or 3 losses get in, you know, ahead of UCF, I will be there at the committee. You know, I will do what the Democrats do, you know, go in there, get them in an elevator, and say, doesn't our victimization matter? How much better do we have to be? Well, maybe if they'd schedule better, and maybe if we bring in like a tiered scheduling system, like the NFL does. I don't know, it's just a thought. Okay, so now that Slider is here and interested in what's going on, I'm going to cancel this out before she gets in the way of anything else. So, guys, if you like this video, if you made it this far, I know it was longer than my usual videos, but thank you guys for watching. This is Ken Rayder signing out.